A hero from the future is going to take on a ruthless gang boss. Let's get it on. The year is 2077. Neo-Tokyo is a sprawling cyberpunk metropolis filled with towering skyscrapers, advanced technology, and most importantly, poverty and crime. Our hero, Shiro, is a young man who grew up fighting in illegal underground matches. He was born without any parents and raised by his 5 younger siblings. His father had been killed by a rival gang when Shiro was just a baby, and his mother died of a drug overdose trying to escape the city with her children. Shiro vowed to do whatever it takes to protect his siblings and give them a better life. Shiro is known as the White Tiger on the underground circuit, a fierce brawler who can take on multiple opponents at once with his bare hands. People like Shiro fight in these underground matches because there are no rules and they have nothing to lose. Winning a match means getting some cash and advancing to the next round of the competition. Losing means getting beaten up and possibly getting killed. After years of fighting, Shiro has become the champion of the underground circuit. But he is tired of the violence and wants to find another way to support himself and his siblings. One day, he meets a mysterious woman named Kasumi, who offers him a chance to earn money by fighting in an official, sanctioned match. The prize is huge, and the competition is fierce. But Shiro knows that this could be his last chance to make enough money to give his siblings a better life. So Shiro trains hard for the match, spars with his friends, and studies his opponent's fighting styles. He also spends time with his siblings, teaching them how to defend themselves and telling them stories about his fights. Shiro's friends try to talk him out of it, though, saying that the tournament is too dangerous and that he'd be better off just keeping the underground title. They're right, but Shiro needs the money. As the day of the match approaches, Shiro becomes more determined than ever. He knows that this is his last chance to make a real difference in his siblings' lives, and he's not about to let them down. On the day of the match, Shiro puts on his signature white tiger mask and walks into the arena. The crowd cheers wildly as he makes his way to the center of the ring. Shiro can feel the energy of the crowd as he takes in the sight of the packed stadium. There are thousands of people here tonight, all eager to see him fight. Shiro takes a deep breath and focuses on the task at hand. He's here to win and provide a better life for his siblings. His first opponent is a burly man named Bruno, a professional fighter who has won several sanctioned matches. Bruno is a powerhouse, but Shiro is able to outmaneuver him and knock him out in the second round. Next, Shiro faces off against a skilled martial artist named Kenzo. Kenzo is a master of karate, and he puts up a good fight. But Shiro is able to use his street fighting skills to outmaneuver him and wear him down. In the third round, Shiro goes up against the reigning champion, a ruthless fighter named Kato. Kato is a formidable opponent, but Shiro is able to use everything he's learned in the previous fights to defeat him in a close match. In the final round, Shiro faces off against the final boss, a mysterious fighter known only as the Viper. The Viper is a master of disguise and deception, and he proves to be a worthy opponent. The fight is intense, with both fighters landing powerful blows. But in the end, Shiro is able to defeat the Viper and claim the championship. As the crowd cheers and celebrates, Shiro is overcome with emotion. Not only has he won the championship, but he has also earned enough money to give his siblings a better life. Shiro walks away from the match with the trophy and a check for $1 million. He can finally provide his siblings with the life they deserve, and he knows that his mother would be proud of him. But our story isn't over yet. You see, while Shiro was busy fighting in the underground matches, his siblings were being taken care of by their uncle Takeshi. Takeshi is a Yakuza boss who runs a criminal organization in the city. He had offered to take the kids in when Shiro was just a baby after their parents died. But really, he had his own plans for them. You see, Takeshi had been watching Shiro fight in the underground matches, and he had come to the realization that his nephew was destined for greater things. So he decided to put his plans on hold and instead use his resources to help Shiro succeed in the sanctioned matches. Takeshi had known that Shiro would need money, training, and connections to win the championship. So he made sure that his nephew had everything he needed to succeed. He paid for Shiro's training, hired his friends to be his cornermen, and even provided him with information about his opponents. Takeshi had been patient, waiting for the right time to put his plans into action. He knew that Shiro would need to be strong enough to handle the responsibility that came with being a champion. And now that Shiro had won the championship, Takeshi was ready to reveal his true intentions. He called Shiro aside and told him that he had a special mission for him. Shiro was hesitant, but he knew that he owed his success to his uncle.
Also,
He agreed to listen. Joshi explained that he wanted Shiro to use his new platform to take down a powerful crime lord named Masaru. Masaru was the leader of a rival gang that had been terrorizing the city for years. He was responsible for the death of Shiro's father, and the gang's presence still posed a threat to Shiro and his siblings. Takeshi believed that Shiro was the only one who could bring Masaru down. He was fast, strong, and had a personal vendetta against the gang. Takeshi knew that Shiro would not only be able to defeat Masaru, but he would also be able to send him to prison where he belonged. Shiro was torn. On one hand, he wanted to honor his uncle's request. On the other hand, he was afraid of what might happen if he took on such a powerful enemy. But as Shiro thought about his siblings and the life they were trying to build, he knew he couldn't refuse. This was his chance to not only honor his late father, but also protect his family and make the streets safer for everyone. So Shiro agreed to take on the mission. He knew it would be dangerous, but he was ready to face the risk to protect those he loved. With Takeshi's help, Shiro was able to gather intelligence on Masaru and his gang. He learned that Masaru was heavily involved in the city's drug trade, and that he had a large network of informants and bodyguards. Shiro knew that taking on Masaru would be a difficult task, but he was determined to succeed. Over the next few weeks, Shiro trained hard and prepared for the fight. He worked with his uncle and his friends to develop a strategy for taking down Masaru and his gang. They knew that they would need to be smart and strategic in order to succeed. Shiro also took some time to visit his siblings and give them news about the upcoming fight. He was excited to share his upcoming victory with them and knew that it would make them proud. Finally, the day of the confrontation arrived. Shiro and his team made their way to Masaru's hideout, a large warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Shiro was nervous, but he knew that this was the moment he had been training for. As they approached the warehouse, Shiro and his team were ambushed by Masaru's men. A fierce battle ensued, with Shiro and his team fighting their way to the door. When they finally got inside, they were met with a shocking sight. Masaru was nowhere to be found. Instead, they found bags of drugs and weapons hidden throughout the warehouse. Shiro realized that Masaru had set them up, but he wasn't about to let him get away with it. He gathered his team and they set off in pursuit of the crime lord. The chase led them through the city's underbelly, from dark alleys to abandoned buildings. Shiro and his team were hot on Masaru's trail, but the crime lord was always one step ahead of them. Finally, they cornered Masaru in an old abandoned factory. Final showdown ensued, with Shiro and Masaru facing off in the middle of the destroyed building. The fight was intense, with both fighters landing powerful blows. But in the end, Shiro's strength and determination prevailed. He managed to defeat Masaru and bring him to justice. With Masaru behind bars, Shiro and his team returned to their base of operations. They had won the fight, but they knew that the war against crime and corruption was far from over. Shiro had proven that he was more than just a street fighter. He was a hero who was willing to stand up for what was right, even if it meant putting himself in danger. And as long as he had his wits, skills, and determination, he knew that he could take on any challenge that came his way. After defeating Masaru, Shiro continued to use his platform to help others. He opened a gym and training facility for underprivileged kids, giving them the opportunity to learn self-defense and stay off the streets. He also worked with local officials to clean up the city and bring down other corrupt officials and gangs. Shiro became a legend in Neo-Tokyo, a symbol of hope for those who lived in the shadows. And as the years passed, his legacy of courage and determination continued to inspire generations of heroes to come.